Welcome back. You are tuned into the labor forum. We're tuned in too here at WRFG 89.3 FM. I do want to thank our previous speaker, Yolanda Tomlinson from the Organization for Human Rights and Democracy, talking about this important program about Palestine, but specifically refugees who have been living in camps in Lebanon since 1948. And we're now turning our attention to what is probably one of the biggest strikes taking place in the United States for a number of years, and that is the strike against Verizon, the telecommunications giant. On the line with us, we have our representatives from CWA Local 2204, and that's in southwestern Virginia. Hi.
Hello. Hello.
So just to say, we have Lee Kennedy and we have Deborah Casey on the line. Thank you both so much for giving us some time away from the picket lines.
Oh, thank you for having us.
And in the studio, we have Eric Richardson. Eric has been on this program before. He is one of our staunch WRFG supporters, I should say, first and foremost, but also one of the probably most well-recognized CWA members here locally. But he is an AT&T employee, and we wanted really to have representation from Communication Workers of America who work for the two big telecommunication giants to talk about the importance of the Verizon strike, but also its connection to the condition of AT&T workers. So thank all three of you for being here.
Thank you.
Okie doke. All right. So I don't know whether Deborah wants to go first or Lee, but could you just outline for our listeners what the major issues are that prompted almost 39,000 plus Verizon workers, both members of CWA and the IBEW, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, to take this move to go out on strike?
It's really about keeping good jobs in the United States.
I think this is Deborah, right?
No, this is Lee.
This is Lee, okay.
It is Lee. So about keeping good jobs in the United States. It's also about our health care. Verizon would like to remove the option to be able to bargain for our retirees' health care and shift more costs to them. And we're looking at people that live on a fixed income. They would like to be able to transfer our members to areas far outside of their local area, which would put a huge distress on their families. It's about corporate greed as a whole. A lot of people want to think that it's about our pay. You know, it isn't always about the money. Sometimes it's the other things that make a difference. And in this case, it is the health care or retirees' health care and trying to transfer out those jobs.
So, Deborah, can I ask you the kinds of jobs that different CWA and IBEW members do? First off, this is a strike that's impacting the East Coast, correct?
Correct. It's covering from Virginia all the way up through Massachusetts.
So what are the kinds of things that all the folks who are on strike do? Because I know it's a variety of different skills and jobs.
Correct. We have those who work in call centers, handling customer service, customer care, scheduling, things like that. We also have our technicians who are the ones out here on the pole, putting in the service or fixing the service, or working out here, in the weather repairing service when it goes down. Those are the ones right now that they're that they're moving. A lot of them, they're out of town for the whole week or sometimes 2 weeks away from their family right now. That's one of the things, as Lee mentioned, they're wanting them to be out months at a time away from their home and family.
Can I pursue that a little bit? All right, so let's take a technician that lives in the area that you live in Southwest Virginia.
Okay.
All right, so there they are. And you're saying that Verizon wants the so-called flexibility. This is all about flexibility, right? They want the flexibility to be able to take that person and send them where? Like to Massachusetts for 4 months?
Correct, or, wherever you need them. I mean, currently, like right now, we have a couple in our area that they live in Lebanon, which is southwest Virginia, and they travel and are one I had up in Virginia Beach for the whole week, working up there. They had been up in Maryland working. It's wherever the company sends them to work, because they don't want to hire people and train them in these areas. They want to be able to shift people around.
Let me ask Eric, is this the same situation with AT&T?
It's all over the industry right now.
Okay, so when these two sisters talk about the issue of Verizon wanting to shift or take away health care from retirees, when they talk about transferring folks, this is literally the same thing AT&T is trying?
It's already occurred in the southern region, District 3. We lost that some years ago, and it has really devastated our retirees. Now, these are the folks that built these companies. And yes, it may have been a bad economic time, but now they're making record profits. So why have not they returned these benefits to these folks who have built this company into a great one?
So, Deborah or Lee, how much is the profit that has just been recorded for Verizon?
For the first 3 months of 2016, this is Lee, Verizon recorded $1.8 billion per month profit after all the bills are paid.
All right. So we sit here in shock, not real shock, because all three of us work for companies that have always regarded the profit line above the needs of the workers. So let's talk a little bit about what's happening in Southwest Virginia and then maybe around the country with the picket lines, with community support, with the support from other unions.
We've had really good support from the general public as a whole. Every now and again you'll run across somebody that is not very supportive, but for the most part we have very good support. We have people that will come and donate drinks and sometimes bring food to the picket lines. We had several of the businesses. We have a rally that's going on tomorrow at the WISE Virginia location. We have several businesses that have provided food and drinks for that rally. As a whole, we don't have a whole lot of other union workers out here in our area. We're sitting in an area that is a coal area, and a lot of the coal mines have shut down. We do still have a UMWA location here, so they're very supportive. There's just not a whole lot out here to help us locally. A little further up the state, there are far more options, and some of those folks have even been going out and walking our picket lines, helping us out there. We have our numbers have dwindled so badly that sometimes it's a struggle to even cover the picket line.
Deborah and Leah, one of you started out talking about keeping good jobs, and the call centers in particular. I'm going to guess, is this about outsourcing?
Absolutely. They will outsource our jobs to overseas call centers, and then they do have some that they contract out here in the United States that are much lower paying that they transfer those calls to.
Are you seeing that with AT&T?
Oh, they've done it for years. What I call it is job laundering. They take a $27 an hour job with benefits, ship it overseas. When those folks who have been educated over there realize how low they're being paid and form a union, then they bring the job back so patriotically at $10 an hour and no benefits.
And I know, Eric, you've been talking, one of your strong issues is about the need for international labor solidarity. Is that right?
That is very correct. You know what? With these companies, telecommunications in particular, that are global, they need to develop call centers in these other countries so that they can raise the tide. Because a rising tide raises all boats. So, each country that services their own, these are people with good paying jobs. that established those countries. But that's not always the case. That is not the case presently.
So now you have an event that's coming up, I believe, on Wednesday. Deborah, you told me about it when we spoke earlier this afternoon.
Correct. We have a district rally that's going to cover the 6 states in our district, Virginia, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, D.C. We'll be having a joint rally in Silver Springs, Maryland, from 11 to 2 on Wednesday. There at the Chesapeake Complex. So we're rallying workers across all of these states to come together in solidarity and, show Verizon that we stand together. So that's going on Wednesday. We have one, as Lee mentioned earlier, in our area, in the Norton area. We're doing a rally of live tomorrow from 12 to 2. So we're doing that one. So we're doing these across the nation. We had one in Roanoke last Wednesday morning. And we have, as we mentioned, there's several organizations across our district that are helping. We have the Virginia Education Association that is helping. Our Teamsters are helping. In a lot of the areas, UPS will not cross our picket line to deliver the packages. Coca-Cola refused to deliver drinks to a couple of areas. They wouldn't cross the picket line. So
Those must be Teamster drivers.
Correct.
Yeah, those must have been Teamster drivers for Coca-Cola.
Right. So they would not cross the picket line. And even some that are not union, they still honor picket lines and won't cross them. So we have the community support there. So it means a lot just having people go by and, honk their horn or wave, letting them know you support them. I mean, it means a lot to these people standing on the picket line.
Could I ask both of you how long, Lee, I know that you've worked for 20 years for Verizon, is that correct?
17.
17. Okay, so I want to ask all 3 of you, actually. It's not, there was a period of time in labor history where strikes were common. Multiple strikes could be happening at the same time. And there were certainly, I'm a retired UAW, and there were certainly instances where there were huge battles. Obviously, the UAW came out of were the sit-in strikes, where the workers actually occupied the plant and therefore didn't allow any production to take place. Is there an issue with, first I'm going to ask this question, did Verizon hire scabs?
Verizon has actually transferred a lot of the calls to some of those vendor centers. I don't, they said that they've been training people for over a year to do our job. From my understanding, they have management employees that they have transferred to various locations, and that coupled with the contracted centers are what they are using to answer our calls.
And I saw on the internet that some Verizon lawyer hit with his car some picketers. Are they okay?
I haven't gotten any word on those members as of yet. That was the last I had seen on it, as well as that the lawyer had hit them. And I'm thinking that the article had even said that they had arrested him at a later time. I'm not sure if he ran or what happened there, but my understanding was he was arrested at a later time.
I'm going to go back to what I started to say. I'm going to ask all 3 of you, if you wouldn't mind, talking about why this strike, like all strikes, very frankly, are so important for workers, whether they belong in unions or not, to recognize their identity with any worker who stands up to fight for decent wages and decent working conditions. If, however you want to express that. I'm going to start with Eric because he's seated right next to me and give the two of you a chance to think about that.
All right. Since we haven't gone out on strike since 1983, and which I participated in that strike, and it was not a good thing, but it was worth it. You know, we gained the respect of management. We gained the respect of the community, and it bonded the employees together. And we also identified some folks that are who will forever remain as scabs. You know, even into retirement, we still call them what they are. It's been a while since a major strike of this order has come about, and it's very important to American workers that it's successful. This is the only tool we really have to fight with. You know, we have to force these companies to bargain in good faith, which they have not been doing. They're outsourcing jobs not because they have to save the company, they're outsourcing them for a profit.
More millions.
Exactly. Well, break us off, son. That's all we're asking for.
Okay, Lee or Deborah, how do you respond when people ask you, you know, is this going to do any good, or is this going to be worth it, or any of those kinds of questions that imply that people aren't sure about the value of taking this stand?
Well, you know, I tell them it's definitely going to be worth it. You know, this strike is very important, not only to those brothers and sisters standing on that picket line that work for Verizon, but it's important to all workers. Verizon is a good example of corporate greed. You know, that's what's wrong with America. That's what's wrong with our economy. The corporations are getting bigger, and their profits are getting bigger, while those that spend the money, our pay is getting smaller. You know, as Lee said earlier, this particular one is not about the money. You know, it's more about keeping those good-paying jobs here, keeping them here in the United States, for our workers that are here, for our children and grandchildren to come, you know, later. We've got to start now in having those jobs here, or there's not going to be anything left other than, you know, the fast food, the minimum wage. Companies just want to keep the workers down. They want them to make them the money, but they don't want to share in the wealth.
Thank you for that. So, Deborah, do you have something to say on this question?
We'll let Lee. That just was Deborah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I need to have you both talk and identify yourselves. Okay.
I think it's definitely worth it. You know, we're not gaining anything at the bargaining table. We're looking at a company that doesn't want to bargain with us. You know, you expect to give and take. And in this case, it's a company that says, give me, give me, give me. But so sorry for your luck, you're not getting anything. It's about building up the area. You know, we're sitting in an area, like I said previously, where many coal mines have been shut down. And we have an open wound in this area and are bleeding profusely. We need jobs. I want to see more people in the call center beside of me, as opposed to in another state, being paid a contractor wage. It's about being able to send your kids to school, about having good health care. It's about the middle class as a whole. And when we do better, everybody else does better.
I have a question for all three of you also. In terms of the industry, when we talk about corporate greed, it affects the workers, but it usually, I would think always, also affect the consumer. So in what ways does the greed affect the consumer? And I know nobody likes the price of their cable bill, for example.
This is Lee. I can tell you in our area alone that Verizon has allowed the line to degrade so badly that the service is sometimes very sketchy. If it rains, you may have your service go out. Some people can't even obtain some of the services because Verizon refuses to build it out. So, that affects the customer.
They're not investing in the infrastructure.
Not at all, no.
Eric, about the consumer?
Well, I have to concur with what she said. We're in a high-speed world. And right now, here in the South, we're battling two major internet companies for our jobs. And I'm not going to mention their names, but they're coming in with high-speed internet that we've been asking a company to do forever. But we want those jobs, and we want to do the build-out. We're the experts in that. And you're investing in yourself, and you're investing in your community, because if folks have access to information, that's education, that's better jobs, that's being better and well-informed. And now with deregulation of the FCC and all these companies owned by a few, well, what truth is coming out? But you can get it on the internet. You look around the world and these uprisings, it's the internet. So why are we suppressed here with all the freedom that we allegedly have?
I wanted to, did either one of you have anything else you wanted to add about Paul's question about the relationship of Verizon's greed to the consumer? I know I want to, one of the things that always comes up is people do wonder, why does their bill go up, go up, go up? And oftentimes their service, as you said, is actually becoming less stable, less consistent. And the issue, of course, I think is the fact that the government as well, doesn't regulate these companies anymore, so that oftentimes what has now become almost a necessity of modern life, they sort of have us over a barrel. And the competition that exists is a competition to the bottom, so that the workers, regardless of what company it is, are always being the ones who have to produce more profit. And yet that never translates into better service for the community as a whole. That's my thought.
Well, if I can comment on that.
Sure.
We here in the South have some of the best technicians, as well as Verizon in the North. We were all once Bell System, and our training is just fantastic. But what these companies want now is to do more with less. They want to use our expertise in fixing this bad and terrible plant, but they don't want to pay us for it. And they don't want to pay it to the retirees who established all of this. That's the problem. There's more than enough for everybody. But it's not a matter of sharing the wealth. It's showing a profit, because, that's the vanguard of how you're viewed in the industry as far as businesses go. But what is a business without consumers?
And happy workers. We all want to be a happy worker.
I'm originally from New York, but I'm here in the South now, and I heard this saying, a contented cow gives really sweet milk.
So back to the situation in Virginia, and as you mentioned, Southwest Virginia does not have a lot of jobs because of not just the coal mines, but really a real exploitation of that part of the country for generations, where internal or the infrastructure and so many things just were, everything from electrification to just everything was always late getting there. So I wanted to express my super appreciation and thanks for the fact that two women, are among the leaders of this strike and fight in southwestern Virginia. And before we close out, I just want to mention that Paul, you weren't able to hear the history, little piece that he always does. But we really try to elevate the role of women because oftentimes that just doesn't come out. But it seems pretty clear that the two of you are making a very big difference in your union and your community, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so we have like 2 minutes left. So if there were people who are listening to this program today or who are going to watch it later on the WRFG Labor Forum YouTube channel, and they wanted to figure out a way, you know, we don't have a Verizon strike picket line here, but how could we help all of you from Virginia up to Massachusetts? What is it that we could do here to support you all?
Well, you know, for those that do happen to listen, that do live in this area, or they're going to be traveling through, they're more than welcome to come by our picket lines and walk with the brothers and sisters, or if they're driving by, they can always slow, wave, bring back food or anything, you know, just let them know that they support them. They want to know of things that they can do to help in the particular area. They're more than welcome to call our local office. That phone number is area code 540-389-2204. Our secretary is there, or the president would always be glad to see what would be done that they'd be interested in helping with. There's always plenty to do. There's always information on Facebook or Twitter that they can search Communication Workers of America, and it comes up with the strike information and so forth. So there's a lot of great information that they can help by sharing information across Facebook, because you know, education and knowledge is power. So the more community knows about what's at stake for everyone, the more we have a chance of bargaining a fair contract with this telecommunication giant, as you said. You know, that's going to be the key to getting Verizon to realize that, you know, their workers are important and that we do need a fair contract. A lot of it is through the community, so we appreciate anything and everything anyone wants to do. And again, that phone number is 540-389-2204. Like that, anything, Lee? Good.
Thank you again, both of you, on the phone, calling in from southwestern Virginia. And we want to thank Eric Richardson, who's here in the studio, CWA member 3204 in Atlanta. And we want to just send you our solidarity in big cap letters. Okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
You all hang in there. We got your back down here.
Thank you, Eric.
WRFG Atlanta.
89.3 FM.